is just that board game that every household always has lying around. It's gonna be dormant somewhere, sitting on the living room table because nobody could be bothered to put it away, or tucked into an overfilled game closet that you can best be assured will collapse onto the next person that opens it. The fact of the matter is that the Monopoly man's cheeky grin is always shining in a corner of every house I enter, wherever I go. With a good blend of skill and chance mixed into the gameplay, Monopoly offers a simple, if not formulaic, gameplay loop that anyone can enjoy to some extent. And considering how open-ended the concept of buy board spaces and charge when people land on them can be, left Monopoly with a profitable opportunity to be reprinted every month with a new coat of paint to cater to whatever the newest trend happens to be. At the moment, Hasbro's got their hands on more than 1,500 different variations of Monopoly. We got the Fortnite version, the D&D version, the Mr. Beast version. But in nearly every iteration of the game, there's one thing that's universally frowned upon: cheating. Nobody needed a version of Monopoly to be created for the express purpose of cheating before, because everyone would already do it in the original game. We've all had the experience of being at the mercy of a 3-hour match as players mind-numbingly circle around the board, watching the player who bought brown for the heck of it get slowly dissolved as the boardwalk player fights against whoever collected jail side first. Cheating to put an end to everyone's suffering just became the norm, be it from hiding extra money in your shirt sleeves, to purposefully miscounting your dice rolls to avoid being sent back to prison for the 10th time. If you also hated Monopoly, but your weekly family game nights always included it, cheating to finish the game faster so you could jump back into your parents' basement to play more Valorant became a must-have. Monopoly Cheaters Edition, though, is a special version of Monopoly that tried to reach a compromise by turning the art of cheating into an actual rule. And although the game has 2 sets of modes, with one having a rule set that incentivizes you to play like The Purge just began, the base game keeps things tame and only allows you to play with a limited number of quote-unquote cheats to keep things manageable at the table. At any given time, there's 5 different ways you can cheat, shown off by cards on the board. They usually range anywhere between meddling with hotels, scamming people out of their money, and rigging dice. And that's all cool and all, but just like in real life, not all get-rich-quick schemes are as arduous to perform as others, meaning that some ways to play are just pure evil when used to their full extent. I'm Blaine Simple, and picking apart games and laughing at weird mechanics is a passion of mine, so don your ski masks and grab your pillowcases because we have a heist to pull. But first, let me go ahead and introduce today's sponsor over at Surfshark VPN. The internet's a wild place, and securing your connection should be made just as commonplace as locking your car doors or brushing your teeth at night. Surfshark VPN encrypts your data to make sure that everything you're accessing through the internet stays your own private business. And although strangers meddling with your data is already a criminal enough reason to have a VPN, what I think is even more egregious is the concept of region-locked content. Surfshark is a must-have for movie watchers, as so many shows are normally locked behind different country connections, opening your access to content in the safe and limitless way the internet was always meant to be. Netflix is a stick in the mud on occasion, and I'm not moving to Japan just so I can catch the newest seasonal anime drops. With a single click, I'm placed right in the heart of a new country and can get right to enjoying online entertainment on my own terms. There's also easy to include add-ons like Surfshark Antivirus that keeps your electronics squeaky clean, and Surfshark Search, which annihilates all those annoying ads popping up as the first results on your browsers. You can subscribe today and use code BLAINE for a full 83% discount, plus 3 extra months completely free. There's also no risk trying it out due to Surfshark's 30-day money-back guarantee. Thanks to Surfshark for helping make today's content possible, and let's get right back to the video. Unlike cheating in regular Monopoly, doing so in Cheaters Edition doesn't immediately get the others to desire the culling of your lineage. Instead, being caught committing a crime gives the policing player the proud privilege to stick a handcuff on your wrist, locking you under the game board and throwing your piece in jail until you can pay the fine or roll magic dice. The base fee is only $50, and if you've seen other Monopoly breakdown videos or have ever played the game even once, then you know how absolutely stacked the jail side of the map is in terms of value. Pink and orange are even stronger colors in Cheaters Edition because with around a dozen new ways to be thrown into jail, it's pretty common for there to always be at least one person locked behind cold bars during the game at any given time. In some playthroughs, I've even seen everyone locked up at once. Then when everyone's freed, their first few steps into the new world slap them right back down with another $80 fee as the owner of Pink comes to reap their soul. None of this helps with the fact that States Avenue is also discounted down to 20 Monopoly bucks for some reason, making this already brain-dead strategy even more mandatory. And there's a few special tricks in Cheaters Edition that go in tangent with this that makes the whole game revolve around the jail even more. Just to name one, considering most cheat cards have you going to jail if you get caught doing them, you can choose to obviously cheat right at the start of the game if you roll poorly to scoot yourself up 9 spaces on the board. This is also pretty great if you're forced to take your turn last because it avoids having you land on some of the properties your competitors already bought. Considering that the last light blue space also starts with a hotel on it, situations can occur where the first player that takes their turn buys it and then through a cruel twist of fate has you land on the space immediately after. Then at that point, just like anyone who can't afford health insurance in America, breaking a law just to be thrown in jail for the benefits becomes the best play. It's pretty sucky in there, but the property owners outside are worse. Strategic jail time is a great strategy if you're hot on the tracks for pink and orange, just because whenever you roll past them, you can just send yourself back to try landing on them again, and become significantly worse of a strategy if those spaces are owned by literally anybody else. Now, although Cheaters Edition prides itself on its lawless nature, you'll sometimes be punished harshly for cheating. Although being caught cheating usually just has you losing cash and being tossed in jail, there's a few cheat traps that you'll want to avoid or at least have a really good understanding of before you try to attempt. Unlicensed contractor is brutally hard depending on how you go about it. You can either choose to place a hotel from the bank or from another player's property onto one of yours. You are doomed for failure if you try from the bank. All the hotels are kept bundled up together in a small tray to the side of the 500 stack. And considering there's a different cheat in this game that lets you steal bills from the bank, a far easier cheat with a much higher payoff gets people in the mindset to keep a really close tab on the bank even if that card isn't on the board. And on top of that, the hotel pieces are hard plastic and all the same bright ketchup red color, making an awful rustling noise when you go to pick one up, and forcing you to take your eyes off the board to look at the tray so you can position your fingers correctly in a way that doesn't leave you failing to grab anything at all like Sea Dog VA at a crane game. And if somehow the noise, your lack of focus, and your slippery grip doesn't get you caught, you now need to find a way to get this hotel from your hand and onto the board. If you don't have any properties owned directly where you're sitting in front of you at the table, like right in front of you, then there's no hope. Just like, what are you doing with your life? Just confess that you cheated and get it over with. That also means that if you're sitting next to more valuable properties when the game starts, you also have an inherent advantage, but let's not talk about that. And then we have identity theft, where you move another player's piece instead of your own. This one's completely stupid, because even if you do it correctly, people are still under the assumption that it's your piece, meaning you're just going to pay for rent on another player's behalf. If you succeed, then you get a $100 bonus and maybe the chance to buy an unowned property. But if you fail, the punishment can be that the other player can drag you to their hotel and boardwalk and bankrupt you instantly. Identity theft is a late game trap that's only purpose is to bankrupt all the noobs, and shouldn't be attempted unless it's the start of the game and you have nothing to lose, or you're a god gamer. Finally, anyone who places their money in descending order is a fool asking to get their 500 stolen. It's an actual rule that you need to spread your money in front of you in Cheaters Edition to give everyone a chance to occasionally steal it with the pickpocket card. This cheat is an awful trap if you're sitting next to a person who knows the strategy. Spread your least valuable currency the furthest away and keep your 500s in the center. If you notice that someone else didn't do this correctly, you can try to empty their pockets as soon as this card appears and instantly eject them from the game. Likewise, if all your orange money is chilling right next to the sweaty palms of your friend, the moment you bend over to move your piece, your valuables are going to be violated. Also, if you see anyone else at the table doing this strategy, then they also either watch this video or are just copying you. Either way, they may pose some problems in the future, so keep an eye out. Now, there's one cheat in this game that you could consider to be the strongest based purely on how the meta works, and that's Escape Artist. If you're currently the newest player to be thrown in jail, then you'll have the honor of wearing a handcuff that's stuck under the side of the board. To beat Escape Artist, you gotta take it off and keep it off until the end of the current turn. If you can pull this off, it lets you leave jail early and advance to the next unowned property and grab it for free. Which, considering you're starting at jail side, means you're already set to gain one of the best properties on the board. Most casual players don't realize how impactful those spaces are, or that escaping even gives you properties for free, making Escape Artist much easier to pull off than people give it credit for. Now, to do this properly, pretend like you're getting comfortable and move your hands to gently rest near each other. Then click the little release button on the cuff's throat and slip it off as quickly as possible. Continue laying your arm on the ground as if it was still shackled down, but keep a comfortable pose to make it seem like you were never actually handcuffed in the first place. You need to last this way until the current player's turn is over, so you're banking on more important things keeping them busy or on everyone's feeble memory. Then voila, you've escaped. Nice work, A+ job there, buddy. This next trick isn't really cheating, but more of a legal loophole, which hey, in the world of business is basically the same thing. Community chest, you deserve a bailout. It seems so harmless on the surface. If you're broke, then get another 1.2k and jump back into the game. Catch-up mechanics like these are usually gimmicky in games just to give casual players the illusion of a fighting chance. The fact that you were bankrupted in the first place is already good enough grounds to assume it'll happen again, but this isn't nearly as pointless as trying to win against an enemy team in League 20 kills down, because strategically bankrupting yourself as quickly as possible actually becomes meta. The second this card gets found, whoever has it can immediately trade all of their money with another player for a useless property and go bankrupt. The government is tricked into thinking that the harsh world of capitalism is starting to strangle its golden geese, so it takes pity on the broke rogue player and drops 4 golden bricks onto their lap to get them back into the game. And if neither trading player is looking to scam the other, they can split the money and both walk out of that transaction more than 600 bucks richer, making the bailout card one of my favorite legal loopholes to break the pacing of the game without risk of getting locked up. But let's get into a truly devious cheat though. Whenever it's another player's turn, the bank money box gets moved next to them. On occasion, when the steal from the bank card appears, you'll have the ripe opportunity to slip a stack of cash from the bank directly into your own pile. Depending on how your play space is set up and where the box gets placed, pulling this off can go from hilariously easy, sit with a pillow in your lap, reach your hand under, snag your cash and move on, to Fort Knox level of difficulty as everyone sits around a clean dining room table with school shooter mirrors installed around every corner. If someone succeeds a full heist on the bank, the game is basically over because nobody is going to be able to snag the wad of 500s back from the thief before the game ends. And no other cheat cards are as good as literally causing the only bank in the game to collapse. In the basic rule set, bank heists aren't always so ruinous because it only takes one fool with poor sleight of hand to attempt it first and get caught. Then the heist card gets discarded and nobody gets to try it again. But in Ultimate Cheaters mode, you can do whatever you want even if certain cheats aren't on the table. The fees to leave jail are criminally cheap even if you get caught, and with the literal jackpot being swung your way every round, risking every second of the game attempting to steal it is a no-brainer. But let's talk about the intricacies of Ultimate Cheaters mode for a second here, because when any rule can be broken at any time, the meta changes entirely. And this is where things get a little bonkers, with multiple players cheating at the same time, multiple times every turn. Rachel stole a hotel, David snatched a property, and yep, the bank's gone missing again. All the best ways to cheat instantly become mandatory, and new cheats that didn't even exist in the base game before start being fabricated and used by all the sweaty tryhards. For instance, players can start hiding extra money in their sleeves that they got from a different copy of the game just to prepare for the banking collapse on turn 1, and swapping the dice out for rigged variants to break the pacing of everything. The game even recommends that house rules will be needed if you want to moderate the insanity of this mode. Most tables will just put a limit to how many times you can be caught cheating during the game or how much you can steal from the bank, which is arguably pretty fair and balances things out pretty well. But keep in mind that house rules will only come into effect by people who can't be asked to deal with the insanity of your scandals. So if you want to be a pro cheater in this mode, then the strategy is cheating in moderation. This assumes that you're the only person at the table who needs to check themselves. I mean, you watched a video on how to cheat in Monopoly, so I think we can come to that assumption. But if there's multiple tryhards at the table, then limiting yourself will just have you lose. And at that point, you can best be assured that strict house rules are gonna be in place by the end of game 1. I'm totally down to talk about classic games and other nonsense if this was fun to watch, so shoot some love down below if you enjoyed. Quite the contrary, I've been Blaine Simple, and I'll see you all in the next video.